welcome to WrestleWolf. This is Reconsidering WCW Nitro. I am Dr. Damian Gibson, and joining me as always is the enigma, the mystery, the man who only deals in kayfabe. It's Kayfabe Matt.
You really struggled with my introduction then. You struggled with the
Yeah.
what Kevin Nash would refer to in about a year from where we're at as adjectives.
Well, because it's new. It's new. We have new nicknames. I've been listening back to our podcasts, and we've essentially nicknamed each other without really meaning to, and so now we sound like a awful LA rock station breakfast crew. Dr. Damian and Kayfabe Matt in the morning. But if you listen to the episodes enough, you'll know that they're in jokes, and
Where this is the WrestleWolf Zoo.
This episode of Nitro is I know I say this every week, but so much happens, and the first little segment that I've got here in my notes, I had to stop the record, I had to stop the network to write notes, and I was literally only 1 minute and 28 seconds into the episode, and I've written about a paragraph's worth of notes.
Oh, fantastic. I only just finished watching this, so we haven't even done pre-caucused on this. We are just going straight into it. And I'm really excited. I was not expecting this to be the episode that you've connected to, despite the fact that it is fantastic.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's been, I've enjoyed every episode that we've watched, but I thought last week was it was pretty disappointing. And I'm not sure whether this is a reaction to that, because there's so much going on. And anyway, let's get into it and we can talk about it as we go through. So we're in commentary corner, and Pepe is dressed like a clown, but that kind of legitimately that sort of turn of the century scary French clown outfit is the only way that I can describe it.
It's the sad clown, silent film clown.
Yeah, that's probably a better way of describing it. A little bit like the clown from It.
It's got a... I mean, it's worse because it's Pepe, whom we hate.
Whoa, settle down there, cowboy.
Oh, sorry. Whom I hate.
Yeah. Bobby's lost the denim shirt and given it to Mongo this week. I don't know if you noticed that. Mongo's just in there. The other thing I wanted to...
I actually didn't.
Yeah, well, remember last week we said this was going to be a new segment, and I paid attention. So Mongo's just in a denim shirt, but a round collar. Bobby's wearing he actually looks a bit like ABC and BBC cricket commentary legend Richie Benoit. He's got a white jacket, and it just reminded me of Richie. But ultimately, the person that took my attention the most, which doesn't happen much with Eric at the moment, is Eric Bischoff, only because he's dressed... He is an encapsulation of what 1995 looked like. If you wanted... What did men's fashion look like in 1995? It's what Eric Bischoff is wearing in this segment, or throughout the whole episode. He's got a cream ribbed turtleneck with an oversized leather jacket over the top. If you're picturing Ross from Friends, you'd be correct.
He does actually. That's disturbingly spot on.
It's 100%. When I was looking at it, I was like, that's so 1995. It's a time capsule. All three of them, really. I mean, but Eric in particular is Jesus Christ. Then, so that's just the first 15 seconds. Eric then tells us that you can choose who's in the main event, and you can choose from the blue locker room, and you can choose from Sting, Johnny B. Bad, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Dave Sullivan, Alex Wright, the Nasty Boys, or JL. Ooh, decisions. And you can also pick from the red locker room or the heel locker room, which your pick of the litter here is Ric Flair, Meng, Diamond Dallas Page, the Blue Bloods, Big Bubba, Shark, or Scott Norton. Now, we all know that I would pick Johnny B. Bad versus Shark, but I'm interested to know who you would pick, Matt, out of these two groups.
I would pick Dave Sullivan versus Big Bubba. Or Big Boss Man. Big Bubba versus Jerry Sags. I don't know which is worse. I would love to see the actual results of this clear. Like, this is the most fabricated. Like, why even bother with this premise? Like, if you're going to... Like, you can fake it anyway. But, like, I would love to see the results of just... There's just, like, you know, a series of lone votes for one of the Nasty Boys.
Well, I would suggest that if you were calling the 1300-131 WCW hotline at 99 cents a minute in 1995, which is like $1,000 now in today's money, that maybe, and you're listening to the States, you might want to get like a class action happening because you all got ripped off. And now the person who's responsible for that class action would be Vince McMahon. So, you know, 2 birds, 1 stone. Sounds good to me. But remember, Matt, before you call in to get that match that you want, get your parents' permission.
I would suspect that I hope that no one's parents gave them permission to do this.
Well, you know, you would have to have some sort of Inspector Gadget / you know, someone with magnificent eyesight, pop culture reference for someone with good eyesight, because it was in the smallest amount of writing on that slide.
There were a lot of parents that like got their phone bill and were fucking pissed off.
I was gonna ask you, like, because I was too afraid of both my parents to ever touch the phone unless like, for the longest time you had to ask. Like, I had to ask my parents to use the phone. It wasn't, you wouldn't just pick it up and call someone. Did you ever
make a phone call
that
I shouldn't have?
No, we would like call one of these, like, even just like for wrestling or whatever, call one of these like $1 a second phone lines.
No, sorry. That's the kind of thing that it shows that we haven't pre-caucused and discussed what we're going to do beforehand. Because it's like, hey, we've got this crazy, so, you know, no, not at all.
Well, this just shows that we're both good boys.
Well, that's exactly right. Like, I just never would have considered it. And also because, like, it was obviously happening 2 weeks later in Australia, if at all. I'd be like, really hope that this is going to finally be that Johnny B. Bad Shark rubber match.
The closest thing I can even think of with this was about 3 years later. I was watching MTV... and there was a Blink-182 competition where you could just text. All you had to do was text Blink-182 to this number, and you could win a copy of Enema of the State. And given Optus Vision's subscriber numbers at the time, I'm almost 1,000% sure that I was the only person who texted in. But like 3 months later, just a copy of Blink-182's Enema of the State just arrived in my postbox from MTV.
That's pretty good.
Like, I
imagine you'd already had it by that point.
No, I didn't. Because CDs were expensive then, man. They were like $30. It wasn't just, you know.
What else were you...
I was still in school then, or just out of school.
What else were you buying in 1999?
Korn, probably. There would have been a Korn album around. 1999 was like... Blur. Didn't Blur drop an album 99, 13?
You've got, like, the Battle of Los Angeles, Rage Against the Machine was 1999.
Yeah, I would have had that.
Or for fellows like me, you could chuck in 69 Love Songs by the Magnetic Fields. were you at 18 just jamming out to the Magnetic Fields?
You're such a fucking indie fanboy. It's unbelievable.
Sorry, you were buying copies of Smash Mouth's Astro Lounge, obviously.
Yeah, because I was a cool guy. I liked to have fun. I was just sitting in my room listening to the fucking Magnetic Fields. Going, oh, God, I'm so sad.
I was 10.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, but I still would expect you to be in your bedroom listening to Nick Cave and the Magnetic Field.
I was into Silverchair at
writing
that point.
dissertations about their lyrics. Oh, yeah, which Silverchair? Was that Diorama?
Nah, that was the one with Freak Show on it and Year 2000.
Oh, the Year 2000 or whatever. Yeah, of course.
And obviously also The Offspring. We need to move on from albums of 1999.
That's our next podcast. The first match, also those, because there's like a whole bunch of promos that involve all those guys coming up, and it's just unbelievable. But first, we have the Giant versus Cobra, or Cobra. I always hesitate because the Americans always say Cobra, but it's like it's muscle memory to say Cobra.
The Cobra's got a Morse code theme, and I have never ever seen this happen before, but no one reacted to his entrance. Like, people, there wasn't like any sound. There wasn't like, you could see people were just sitting there in the front rows, absolutely disinterested. There was no like, he gave his like dog tags to a little kid, and like the kid's family clapped, but the people next to them were like staring away from Cobra awkwardly. Like, I've never seen it before. Like, even in like, when people like just boo to boo or whatever. This is the first match of a wrestling show, and they're like, you're gonna have to impress us a bit more than this. And
well, yeah,
I mean, yeah, fair enough. But Cobra's Jeff Farmer, who became Fake Sting.
Oh, right. Well, I was gonna say, I mean, when you just have like tones as an entrance song theme,
it's an aggressive.
That's confusing.
I would love to know what it says, because I reckon it's not above board. But it does. It also does just sound like a metronome. So I'm not sure they've actually bothered to.
But you just wouldn't even register. At most, you'd be like, "Oh, does someone like it's 1995?" So it's like, is that a pager or something? Like, you wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? No one would be thinking like, "Oh, that's." What's his name? Cobra's entrance.
They're like, this modern military man is using a well-known code that like you can just look up or that's in books and stuff to secretly send us messages.
Yeah. Oh, look out! Here comes Cobra with his Enigma code jumbotron.
I have an obsession with Fake Sting, but I think we'll wait on the Jeff Farmer talk until we get to Fake Sting.
I mean, he looks good. I mean, I've actually written that down. I mean, he looks good until the bell rings. Well, yeah. I mean, in the ring, like because he's staring off with the Giant. It's like, oh, he looks like he could have been something. But yeah, I mean, this match you don't see whether he is good or not because he literally gets choke slammed and that's it. Like. Literally, 4 seconds this match would have gone for?
Yeah. Something like that.
And it's obviously what we call in the biz a squash match. But I mean, this is kind of beyond the pale.
This is an extreme squash match.
We immediately go out the back. Mean Gene is he's in the red locker room. He's surrounded by DDP, Rick, Shark, Scott Norton, and Bubba. And Rick's wearing a Rip Curl wind sheeter. This is the second...
and underpants.
And underpants. This is the second, like, oh my God, I think... Like, for a second I was like, I think I had that wind sheeter. Is that Rip Curl? I don't think it was, but it 100% looked like, a Rip Curl wind sheeter that I bugged my mum to buy for like 18 months.
It's just a really confronting look to have a grown man in underwear and a jumper. Like, it's just like, it's a real, like, I don't know, like, I'm a big fan of...
It's a dad
Yeah,
move.
it is. It's like
move.
when you see fat wrestlers and they whip their shirt off before they're going to fight, and you're like, that's what, like, people who really fight and, like, fight off. It's like, if I was in a fight and someone took their shirt off beforehand, I'd be like, fuck, they're scared of getting my blood on them. Like, they know what they're doing. Yeah. I'm going to die. It's like why Keith Lee was so cool. Because, like, Keith Lee was looked like he was... And now he's in a T-shirt.
Yeah, and a netball skirt.
He's not scared of getting his blood on his netball skirt, apparently.
Well, he doesn't wash them. Karen does that. Karen washes the skirts, so he doesn't worry about it as much. I just realized Karen is a whole thing now. But anyway. Nothing really happens in this promo. The directive, all I've got written down here is the directive must have been, all right, boys, let's make sure that no one at home can hear what Mean Gene is saying, because the boys in the background are just yelling and screaming. Hacksaw Jim Duggan keeps walking off screen and back into screen, making kind of weird Keith Moon type faces to the camera.
Have we discussed Hacksaw Jim Duggan before?
Kind of, but I feel like you haven't really vented about how much you dislike
That's
him.
right. I do hate him. That's really all I have to say. I think he's an absolute piece of shit, and I don't know why he's there. That's my statement.
I thought you were going to go longer than that. That's why I had a sip of coffee. I'm like, oh, this will be good. That'll go for ages. I think I've said this on a couple of episodes. Like, because he's just part of that rock and roll wrestling thing, I have a soft spot for all of them. You know, whether they were good or not, or annoying or not. Even as an adult, I can see that Hacksaw Jim Duggan is really annoying.
Aggressively
and also
annoying.
makes no sense. Like, what is he? Like, he's a patriotic lumberjack, or like, I don't. You know, what's the? Like, he's got an American flag, but he's also got like a 4x2 or 2x4 or whatever the hell.
And he's also got
of wood.
an acquired brain injury.
Well, that's wrestling. You know. Well, I mean, wrestling.
You were so brave to bring it into their character.
Or on AEW.
That's true.
Then we cut to an ad for World War III, which I need your help here, Matt. What is this match?
World War III is 3 rings, sort of
right,
Royal Rumble style lunacy, but it doesn't work because there's 3 rings, and it doesn't really make sense, and it never quite. Yeah, it is good fun, I think.
No, it sounds amazing, but just because they say 60 men, so it's 20 people per ring, and then also there'll be 1 giant in each ring.
Pick that up. That's fantastic.
Yeah. What does that mean? So there'll be? So we start the match and there'll be like the giant, the Yeti, and bloody.
You have a lot of flair when you say Yeti.
That's how they all say it. They all say Yeti. Haven't you noticed that? It's the same way Eric says TNT. No. Have you noticed that? They all say, no one says Yeti. It's all Yeti. It's like someone came in and was like, hey, Yeti is a real word, and if we don't say it correctly, people are going to be offended.
I mean, that's fair enough. People would be offended.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they wouldn't, but I can't imagine Eric Bischoff and and Kevin Sullivan, Ric Flair sitting around going, no, we probably need to be mindful of people's feelings.
Yeah, that's fair.
You just got to listen to any of their podcasts, and you know that that's not something that they.
Have you listened to the Kevin
really
Sullivan podcast?
I just assumed he had one, but I've no.
It's called. Well, obviously, I'm a fan. I've never listened to it either. But we can talk about that on our podcast that reviews podcasts on Tuesday nights.
The Wrestling Podcast Review Podcast. We get a vignette for, oh, God, man, I can't believe we're here so quickly. This, so when we cut back to Eric, Eric says, earlier in the day, we caught up with Hulk and Macho Man down at Venice Beach. I'm like, okay, this is weird. And the camera we open on a shot of, for anyone who hasn't been to Venice Beach in LA, it's a very sort of like cosmopolitan. It's like
when you think of Hulk Hogan, you think of this. Like that's I certainly
like
do.
Legitimately, I do.
But you think cosmopolitan, cultured Hulk Hogan.
Well, no, I mean, in the sense of like it's like the art, like it's kind of like the arts district. So there's like a lot of sort of strange people and like a lot of like buskers and stuff like that. But then there's also like outdoor gyms, so you've got like a lot of muscle heads and stuff. It's a really interesting place. Like even now, it's an interesting place to go in LA.
I was hoping for Ted Hawkins to be there at this point, busking behind them.
The thing about this promo that is like, I mean, they've obviously just got so this busker's playing. You work out that he's singing a song about Hulk Hogan, and then it like pans across to Hulk and Macho Man, and there's a third guy in between them. Now, I don't know if he's like just another rando Venice Beach guy, or is he someone? Do you know?
No, I don't. Like I sort of assumed that maybe it's some sort of local celebrity, but also he also seems to be a homeless man who thinks he's Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was and so ultimately, you don't really need to worry about the promo. The promo is essentially that like Hulk Hogan is now on the dark side of Hulkamania.
But the dark side is still the demandments and the vitamins and the prayers.
Yeah, so it's exactly the same, except you just get to wear cool black clothes.
And not have a mustache.
Not have a mustache. Macho Man is still talking about how Hulk Hogan got his mustache stolen.
Kevin Sullivan, was that not a razor? Was it like a laser hair surgery thing? It's like, because it's I don't want to question what Kevin Sullivan and his band of actual monsters have done here, but it's a bit weird that his mustache hasn't grown back.
Yeah, it is, and that's why Macho Man's so upset because the Hulk is deformed now, but that's essentially all they're saying, and that they're going to pair up. They will be like a team at World War III. So essentially, like the mega powers are unexploding and are like a team again. Is that? That's essentially what this promo is.
I don't know what the word for unexploding is other than unexploding. They're back.
Yeah. Imploding?
Remember when WWF built to one of the greatest storylines of all time and paid it off and ran that for a few years? Well, it's been reversed.
Yeah, it's been beep, just truck backing up, beep beep, and yeah, and then that's kind of it. But I just want to point out that Hulk Hogan and Macho Man walked down Venice Beach with a film crew, with a TNT film crew, grabbed, I think, a homeless man and a busker, who I'm pretty sure was high.
Yeah.
Stuck them in a promo. I assume like they would have had to have got them to sign a release form and stuff, but who knows if they were paid or anything. I assume they probably would have given them a couple of bucks. But
that's a pretty big assumption.
But I think the whole point, well, I don't know. I feel like, those guys who have that kind of money always like just giving money away to show that they're a nice guy, even though they're not really a nice guy, Like Frank Sinatra would do that all the time. Like, yeah, here's $100, but then he'd slap a woman on the way out of the room.
Whereas Hulk Hogan would just say something unrepeatable.
Well, yeah, we all we all know what he did. It's not called pulling a Hulk for nothing. You know what I mean? I'm trying to make that stick. It's like the third time I've made that joke in the last couple of weeks. But yeah, essentially, this whole promo is sort of like laughing at these two guys. And like it's
weird.
I mean, it's not too bad. It's not anything to be cancelled over or anything like that. But it's just like this is really weird, right? And like
it's not good.
Surely, if you can't have them on the show, just don't get them to do anything. You know what I mean?
Just don't let them get drunk on Venice Beach Boardwalk and abuse homeless people. That would be my...
Next up, we actually have a wrestling match. This is about halfway through the show. We're like 20 minutes into the show, and we haven't really had a wrestling match yet.
Boy, do we have a wrestling match now.
Well, I thought you'd be excited because it's the Taskmaster with Jimmy Hart versus Renegade who, for anyone who hasn't seen or doesn't know, Renegade is essentially WCW's Ultimate Warrior until they actually sign the Ultimate Warrior, and then Renegade disappears, I assume.
No, Renegade joins with the Ultimate Warrior as part of One Warrior Nation.
Oh my god, yeah, right. Oh, I'd completely forgotten about that. That's... God, I love all the stables that happen soon. It's so cool.
But the One Warrior, I just want to point out, just as a little preview for that, One Warrior Nation is a stable built around the fact that there is one warrior in which he then recruits another member who's also a warrior. It's just fantastic.
I joined One Warrior Nation. That was my stable. Let's go. Renegade got the jump in this match. He ran out and was all over Taskmaster. Ultimately, Jimmy Hart got the distraction in this match, which allowed the Taskmaster to win. Which was, just to really play, drive the point of Jimmy Hart being he's turned, he's a bad guy. But if that wasn't enough, he jumps on Renegade and wipes his face paint off, which we all know is the ultimate insult to a wrestler.
Also, his finisher is Finn Balor's coup de grace. Finn Balor has stolen that from Kevin Sullivan, just like Randy Orton stole the Diamond Cutter.
He might have, man. When you most wrestlers that you like these days, when you hear them talk about their favorite wrestlers, a lot of the time, even for me who likes to think that he knows a lot about wrestling, a lot of the time it's I don't know who that is. I heard an interview with Eddie Kingston the other day where he was reeling off all these wrestlers, and I was like, I don't know him. Every fourth name, I'd be like, oh, right, yeah, okay, cool. Taz. I know Taz.
I mean, I just suspect that, if only Finn Balor were as creative and over as Kevin Sullivan is.
Well, if he was in the right organisation, he would be.
I don't think so. I think if Kevin Sullivan can get over in 1995 WCW, then Kevin Sullivan's not over. Kevin Sullivan's an embarrassment.
I was talking about Finn Balor, not Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah, I know. I was just trying to be a heel. Sort of failed at it. Sorry.
I didn't notice this time.
Yeah, I should have gone
just stick it up. Well, you just like Kevin Sullivan, so I just thought you were yeah. Anyway, but let's move on. So we zoom back to the Red Locker room, where things are just as crazy for Tony. No, is Tony Schiavone's in the Red Room, right? He's
in the Red Room.
Yeah. Ric Flair cuts an intense promo about Sting. The lights go off halfway through. And this is also, if you hadn't worked it out already, this is the point where you 100% know, Sting and Ric Flair are going to be the people who win this, democratic vote that people are getting to call in on. This is going to be a little controversial, but Rick's promos in 1995 are a bit shit.
Yeah, this is not the Ric Flair that people talk about.
No, it's a caricature of him. Having watched a bit of the mid-80s World Championship Wrestling show that basically NWA Power is ripping off. Although it is the same show. You know what?
Look at you walking back even a mild reference that could be taken as criticism to NWA
Well,
Power.
I just realized straight away that there would be people who are it's the same thing. It's NWA. All right, okay. Just, yeah, all right. Anyway, you guys know what I mean. But those mid-80s Four Horsemen promos, Rick just talks. He talks. It might get a little bit animated compared to this, where it's Sting, blah, 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 and you don't really recognize any of the words that are coming out of his mouth. He goes bright purple. He does a woo, dances around a little bit. It's...
But I mean, it's also the Ric Flair wearing the expensive sunglasses and watch and suit, three-piece suits, is not the Ric Flair in his undies and jumper. Like, he looks like he's literally
Rip
just
curl
been,
jumper.
like, woken up by kids that have been too loud and he's run outside and to, like, yell at them. Sting, you get off my lawn or I'm going to get you.
I told you guys that Dad's going to try and have a nap. A big night last night.
It is what he looks like is the dad at someone's like grade 5 birthday sleepover who's like, come on kids, it's time to go to bed now. Well, you know, you've had your fun. It's nearly midnight.
I hated that sentence so much. You've had your fun. Who are you to dictate when and where I'm having my fun, buddy?
You were always such an iconoclast.
I was. That's why to this day I always stay up past midnight.
Take that, someone else's, Jason Matthews' dad.
Mrs. Smith. Guess what's next? Another ad. We have an ad for Saturday night, and it mentions that Disco Inferno is going to drop his new film clip.
Are you going to watch this one?
What on God's green earth is this?
It is what it says it is. I don't know. I didn't watch WCW Saturday night, and I don't intend to. Are they going to play it on Nitro? Probably.
I hope so. And if not, well, guess what? We're doing a Saturday night podcast because we need to find out what the fuck this thing is. Did he have a singing career? Did he have a song?
Surely not. Surely this is just like it.
What do you mean no? Well, what's a film clip? A film clip is to promote a song.
I don't know.
It's a song movie.
They can't do. It's a song movie. I mean, that's right. I mean, this is going to be. I imagine it's going to be really like the sort of the Kanye West Runaway style. Disco Inferno sitting there in a piano. There's ballerinas. It's one of those it's a 90s Smashing Pumpkins epic the kind of thing when you're 16 you watch and you're like, that's so deep, and then when you watch when you're a bit older you're like, it's not actually that deep. It's just people in an ice cream truck painting it.
Yeah, I actually watched that film clip yesterday. Thought the same thing. It just came on YouTube. Was like, you like Billy Corgan? I'm like, gotta stop mentioning Billy Corgan in this house. Google doesn't miss anything. I was talking about wrestling. Google.
it's when you get to the Future Embrace and they're it's like, you like Billy Corgan and Robert Smith from The Cure. How about their cover of the Bee Gees?
Although I didn't know that existed. I am gonna check that out immediately after recording.
So repugnant. I recommend all listeners. If you're listening to a WCW 1995 Nitro podcast, go check out Robert Smith and Billy Corgan doing an electro version of "To Love Somebody" by the Bee Gees.
Hey, guess what? Next, we actually have a wrestling match, and oh man, talk about an uplifting class with Chris Benoit versus Eddie Guerrero. We vowed not to speak about anything about either of these guys' personal lives, and we don't even need to, because this match, everything that they do in this match, these two guys, is so effortless. The match just glides.
But
it's
good.
not. It's on rails, but not in a boring way. You just watching it, there's no way that either of these guys are they're not going to hurt the other one. They're not going to hurt themselves. They're just perfect professional wrestlers.
It was just amazing. I don't think I have a whole lot to say other than the fact that I really don't need this. Why is this Japanese storyline playing out exclusively during good matches? Jushin Thunder Liger was there. That was cool.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so look, sorry, man. So we've had this ongoing story where Bobby's been talking to Japanese businessmen, and it turns out that Masachono is one of the guys that he's been speaking to, and he's brought a whole posse of New Japan guys. Sonny Ono, Masachono, Hiro Sato, Jushin. I always go to call him Justin, like the biggest bogan on the face of the planet. Justin Thunder Liger.
Justin Liger.
Justin Liger. And Kensuke Sasaka. I just put him down there because I didn't want to leave him out, but I didn't really know him. But the other four guys I know because I'm a big New Japan guy. I don't know if I've mentioned that. before Guts. Because I'm just really cultured and stuff, and I get Japanese wrestling. You know, a lot of people don't. I do. Anyway, this is like New Japan. Like, this is pretty cool, man. Like, this is a pretty cool moment. You've got like New Japan guys just sitting in a WCW. Like, I know they had done stuff before, but I don't know. For me, there was like a little moment like, oh, this is cool. I wish it wasn't during this match, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this story's going anywhere. That's my concern.
yeah. Well, I mean, the unfortunate thing is we kind of know from history that I think there was a bit of a New Japan crossover.
Yeah,
like
there was.
Liger
Absolutely.
did a bit. And then we've already seen like a few wrestlers come over and do some stuff, but it's not the big sort of, it's not an invasion angle or anything like that, which I don't know. Right now, New Japan invading, like, say, AEW would be amazing, but I just don't think anyone would have known who any of these guys are unless it was like a young Conrad Thompson or,
Yeah.
you know, a very young Excalibur. Sort of those kind of guys, you know. This match ends with Eddie going for the cover. He gets a 3 count, but Benoit has his feet under the bottom rope for a break. The ref doesn't see it, and this means there's going to be a continuing storyline between Eddie and Chris, and
Great.
fuck, yes. Awesome. We go to the blue room again, where I have written down Stong says he wants to wrestle Rick in the main event.
They don't even bother when they announce that it was Stong versus Ric Flair in the main event. They don't even bother to like pretend like that. They don't announce it as a thing. They're just like, now we've got Stong versus Ric Flair, and it's just like, oh yeah, of course.
I know. Stong. Yeah, it's the biggest. It like, I feel sorry for, because there would have been like, I can't. The thing is, there's no other wrestlers in either of these rooms that kids are going to ring up and vote for, right?
No, God, no. No.
Maybe JL. Maybe one kid loved JL
But
because
he's
he had a
just
mask
lost
on.
every match he's been in.
That's what JL stands for.
Just lost.
But yeah, I just feel like maybe yourself and myself might have been the kids who picked a different wrestler just to be, you know, like, I want to see the Blue Bloods and then call up and cost your parents $17 to make one phone call.
Yeah, I mean, look,
know?
getting William Regal in there, or Stephen Regal as he is at that point, is not a bad decision.
No, that'd be an alright match. Ric Flair versus Stephen Regal, but we will see that eventually. Maybe not in this promotion, but it will happen. Then we cut back to Eric, Mongo, and Bobby, who announced that Flair and Stong will be the main event, which is what we were just talking about. They've, and I've just written they've ripped off many a child in the process. And Bobby has a bottle of sake that he like pours into like a little sake cup.
He's just drinking on the job, which really, fits.
Well, he drinks the sake cup, and then Eric and Mongo are like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just cheersing my Japanese... Like, they're just really driving home the New Japan thing. I'm just cheersing my Japanese friends. And then he takes the shot, and then he does this, like, physical comedy where he goes to put his elbow on the table, and he misses, and he's, like, making his eyes go really wide and shaking his head like, whoa, that was strong, and then he just picks up the bottle and drinks the whole thing as they cut to the ring. I'm on a real like Bobby Heenan trip at the moment. He's just brilliant. I just never noticed. I didn't hate him or anything as a kid, but as a kid, you don't notice those things. Like, they're there for the adults who are watching it with their kids. But yeah, I mean, it's like so vaudevillian and slapstick. Of course, I love it. Next up, we have Stong versus Ric Flair. And we're going with Stong forever now, right? Is that...
We're going with Stong forever, yes, that's right.
I actually genuinely love both of the guys' ring gear in this match, to be serious for a second. Like, Rick's got this whole purple motif. He's got, like, purple, like, sort of undies and, like, these mauve boots that... When I was a younger man, I would have legitimately worn those boots down Brunswick Street.
I mean, you shouldn't... Don't close the door on that yet. They're pretty cool.
No, you don't want to be that guy. I used to tease those guys, you know what I mean? It's like, hey, you want to be David Brent when he wears the fucking Cuban heels into the office.
I mean, I legitimately have a giant pair of cowboy boots, so maybe I already am.
Well, you're younger than me for a start. And, like, that's fine. I mean, are they mauve wrestling boots that have RF on the side of them?
I mean, look.
Gold writing?
Nope.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, cowboy boots are cool as fuck, man. And also that's a sort of, aging hipster move is to get the cowboy boots on.
I don't know if that's a compliment. Also, I'm not sure how this episode has turned into the episode that it has.
I don't know. We're just a bit more loosey-goosey as we get, comfortable with the format, man. And this is the stuff, like, while I'm watching it, this is the stuff I notice. Like, I don't want to... I noticed that, like, Chris and Eddie had a fantastic match, but I don't want to, like, I listen to every other wrestling podcast and it's like, and then there was a Hurricane Rana into a suicide dive and blah, blah, blah. It's like, no one cares. Everyone's already watched that. Let's talk about Rick's beautiful purple boots.
Yeah.
Sting's got hot orange, like iridescent orange tights on with his little scorpion on the side that I think was like light blue. I was just like, oh man, this is so mid-90s. It's awesome.
It's pretty cool.
Rick's healing it up in this match. He does a few figure fours where he's holding the rope. Sting then reverses the figure four. And again, for like the fourth week in a row since Sting's been back, the crowd, as you were saying before, man, I mean, I don't I don't hold it against them for when Cobra came out, but they're pretty quiet. And then when Sting reverses this figure four, they go fucking mental. Like, Sting is... I know most people listening to this will be like, duh, but I'm really surprised every week with how much... Like, Sting is I think you said last week, Sting is the star of the show. He genuinely is, as much as Eric wants Hulk to be because of the money paid for him. The crowd wants Sting.
The crowd wants Sting.
Stong. Fuck, I fucked it up already. Yeah, so he reverses it. The crowd goes berserk. Rick continues to heal it up. He's chopping. He's eye gouging. He grabs a chair. The ref grabs the chair out of his hands, and then he slaps the ref. Like, he's really going full-blown heel here, Rick. At this point, Eric says he has an important announcement after the match. Rick then produces a knuckle duster and knocks Sting to the floor. Stong hulks out, and Rick only gets a 1 count. So he goes to cover him after that, gets a 1 count, and Sting sort of hulks out. Then Sting puts Rick in the Scorpion Deathlock. How am I going today? And he won't let go. And this is all like the Dungeon of Doom Darkness storyline, right? That's kind of been mentioned a few times. Yeah,
things got real messy at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I can go through it really quickly, beat for beat, if people want me to.
Yeah, go on.
It's pretty hilarious. So Eric announces that Luger is coming to the ring to speak to, like, for some reason. So Sting's still got the Scorpion Deathlock on Rick. Eric announces Luger. Luger doesn't come out. It's like JL and I don't know. I didn't write down who the other person is, but there's a couple of the guys from the Blue Locker Room who come out. They're talking to Sting. It might be Eddie Guerrero, actually. They're talking to Sting like, what are you doing? Like, we're good guys. We don't do this. Sting finally gets off Rick. Luger is obviously missed his cue. Then Sting gets halfway to the entrance, sees that Luger is coming out, goes back to the ring, jumps on Rick, puts him back in the Scorpion Deathlock. Luger does that poor acting thing where, like, it's his cue, he walks, like, he's missed his cue, he walks out, sees that things are fucked up, so he goes back into the back room, then comes back out again, and then things are kind of back to normal a little bit, but the genie's out of the bottle by that stage. Luger comes over and just sort of whispers something into Sting's ear. Sting lets go of Rick. They both walk out of the ring together. and that's kind of the end of that bit.
Yeah, I guess.
But it's a lot messier than I described it.
They this is an early rerun of the Is Sting turning evil storyline that would, become the best storyline in WCW. But it's really fascinating how they do this. They just seem to be just running the same storylines that they will later do to much greater success when people are actually watching.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it did intrigue me. I was like, oh, okay, well, Luger's with the Dungeon of Doom. And now he's taken Sting off with him. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't remember Sting ever being a bad guy, ever. Like, the closest was when he was in Wolfpack Red, right?
He did some gear in TNA that wasn't great.
Ah, well, yeah. But, I mean, we've got to wait 7 years until we get to that. So that was the end of that. And then I was like, oh, this is the end of the episode. No, it's not, because we cut back and we've still got the big announcement that Eric teased in the match. And the big announcement is, well, it starts with the Giant, the Taskmaster, and Jimmy Hart in the ring. And we're going to get some really convoluted sort of wrestling contract law in this promo, because as we saw from the Phantom Menace, people just love hearing about like trade agreements, contracts, legalities, loopholes, that kind of thing. And I think WCW were kind of ahead of the curve here by boring everyone for 4 minutes about how contracts worked. So let me try and break this down really quickly. Jimmy Hart was the power of attorney for Hulk Hogan. He signed a contract saying that if Hulk Hogan lost by DQ at Halloween Havoc, he would essentially give up the belt, which means that, and Jimmy's like dancing around going, which means that the Giant is actually the champion. Then Tony Schiavone, like having more agency than he's had the whole time that we've been watching this show. Like he only just appeared on the show last week. Now he's like running it. He goes, I've got a lawyer here who says that that's not the case. Then this lawyer comes in and says, well, Jimmy Hart's kind of half right. Hulk does have to give up the belt, but it's not the Giant's either. It will be contested at World War III. Oh, that's convenient. The next pay-per-view.
Do you think this was something maybe they should have said last week? Like, surely, like you come out the day after winning the title and be like, hey, guess what? We're the Giant is the champion. Get bent, Hulk Hogan, you moron. And then the next week you have the WCW committee come out and be like, boy, guess what? Tough luck. Like it's just, basic storytelling, but that's okay.
Look, I mean, it's kind of like everything with WCW where like they stick the landing with this, where it's like it looks gross and they don't really get there in a very pretty way. But in the end, it's like, well, the belt is up for grabs at World War III. It's like, well, that's cool. 60 people competing for the belt. Sweet. But it's the way they get there that's like, what? All right, well, I feel like that's everything with WCW. Like, huh? What? Yeah, well.
It's cooked. I love it. It's so good.
And that gets us to the end of another episode of Nitro, children. One that I really enjoyed. Like, I really enjoyed this a lot.
This was pretty great. It was great. Watch this episode. Start watching along again. You can probably skip the last few, but...
Well, there's two great matches in this. You get Chris Benoit versus Eddie Guerrero, Sting versus Ric Flair. And for TV matches, they're really, really good. You get the weirdness of the Macho Man and Hulk Hogan promo. You get the just complete 80s-ness of the backroom promos with Mean Gene. And then you get one of the most convoluted storylines in history with the belt. Well, not convoluted story, but convoluted promo at the end here with you'll get a lesson in wrestling contract law. Put it that way.
Get on it. It's a lesson in wrestling contract law. John Moxley was watching this and
I don't
was like, ooh. I see the opportunity for some tricks.
It's me, the trickster, John Moxley. Riddle me this, Batman. John the Riddler Moxley. If he was wrestling in WCW 95, they'd have him in a Riddler costume or like a knockoff Riddler costume.
Absolutely.
Cool. Let's let everyone get back to their lives. But thank you for listening to the show. If you subscribe, you get this and our AEW show in your feed and any WCW pay-per-views. We just recently did a Halloween Havoc, which a lot of people were downloading, which is great. I also think that pay-per-view being insane helps with that, where people are like, God, let's see what these guys have to say about that. But yeah, people are still listening to it heaps, and YouTube is going gangbusters. So thank you for all of that. If you can tell more people, rate and review, follow us on social media, retweeting, all that kind of stuff is great. Although I just watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix last night, so if you're off social media, I completely understand. And but maybe jump back on, retweet us, or and then jump back on.
Don't be a coward. Come on.
What's the worst that could happen? The end of civilization and deterioration of your mental health and all your relationships? Yeah. It's a small price to pay to make me and Matt very famous. So if you do all that would be great. And yeah, until next time, Pepe's dead.
And if you stay listening to this podcast afterwards, you'll get an exclusive preview of my oral history of Billy Corgan's ZWAN.
Well, that's something to look forward to.
So stick around.
I believe the love you talk about with me, is it true?